So Jason Taylor here today with Sean Cleveland, so representing our mobile mapping group and geospatial support group. And we're going to start out with showing you installation. We're going to start with the MX60. So if Sean can come over and give me a hand here. The first thing we typically do when we're setting these systems up, obviously we're going to remove the lid. And then both the MX90 and MX60 have handles and grab points, so it makes it pretty easy to get these things up onto the tailgate and then ultimately onto the rack. So Sean, if you grab on that side, I'll grab here, and then you can just kind of steady yourself, and I'll spin around this way. Set it on the tailgate. So once it's on the tailgate, generally we'll have one person keep a hand on it to steady the system while the other one climbs up onto the tailgate itself. So before we get the system fully mounted up on the MX rack, I just wanted to point out a few features. Trimble's done a really nice job with their rack system. So the MX rack is easily mountable to any over-the-counter rails. So any type of like Thule rails or similar that you would use for a kayak or a bicycle rack, anything like that is going to accommodate this MX rack. And the actual mounting of the system to the rack is pretty ingenious. They've incorporated the handle that we use to lift the system out of the case as the primary mounting point. So when I get up here, we're going to lift the system up, and the bottom of the handle itself is going to slide into the rack, and then it's just going to tilt back and lock. So really easy to use, really secure, and you're never worried about this thing coming loose. So let me get up here. So again, similar to us getting it up here, we're just going to get a hand on either handle. We're going to lift up, and the bottom of that handle is going to slide into the rack, and we're going to tilt back. So when you're ready, 1, 2, 3. So straight up. So once we have the system mounted on the rack, we can further secure the system using a locking mechanism that comes over the handle. So there's 2 locking points here, and we have a special wrench that comes with the system. So we're just going to insert the wrench and then hand tighten this on either side. So once we get that tight, I'll hand it to Sean. He can do the other side. And that'll keep the system secure over any terrain. So once the system's locked in place, we always encourage customers to give it the shake test before you go anywhere. And that thing's in there, it's not going anywhere. So we're ready to move on to connecting the system to the control unit. Trimble's done a really good job with both the MX60 and MX90 of simplifying installation and setup. On both systems, we have a single cable connection that runs from the sensor unit down to the control unit. So all of the sensor data from the cameras to the lasers are all riding through this single cable connection. And we call this the ODU cable, and it connects right here at this port. So it sits on. Once it's seated, we just have a single twist, and then that snaps in place. So we've got a secure connection here for all of the data to feed down to the hard drives. Today we're going to be operating the systems without any additional accessories, but we do have the ability to run both a GAMS antenna and a DMI wheel-mounted sensor. Both of those ports are found on the right-hand side of both the MX90 and the MX60. You can see the GAMS antenna port up top, as well as the DMI port. So in addition to those 2 ports, Trimble also offers you the flexibility of running a 3rd sensor. So customers could be running high definition cameras, thermal cameras, any number of third-party sensors And all of those are going to come through this external port here. So once we have the sensor unit secured to the MX rack and we have the ODU cable plugged in, the next step in the installation process is getting the other end of the ODU cable plugged into the control unit. So depending on your preference and vehicle setup, you could either run your control unit out of the bed of your truck, or in this instance, we have it in the back seat. What we're doing is we're running the ODU cable from the sensor unit through the back window, and then I'll show you how to set that up. As I mentioned, we've got some flexibility as far as where we put our control unit and our vehicle setup. We have customers that prefer having it in the bed of the truck. In this instance, we have our control unit and all of our power set up here in the back seat. For us, it adds a little more flexibility and accessibility to the system. So we've got the control unit here. We have our power unit, which is regulating the power from the vehicle and buffer battery to the control unit and then ultimately to the sensor unit. So this is the power cable. We're just gonna lock that in place. And then once that's locked in, we can go ahead and seat the other side of the ODU cable. So it's just gonna come over here. We seat it in place, and then we're locked in. So at this point, we've got power, we've got our communication, the system's securely mounted on the MX rack, and we're ready to start the system. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video on the installation of the Trimble MX60. Always remember, if you have any questions on installation or operation of your Trimble MX60, feel free to reach out to Seiler's mobile mapping team.